Hi guys, Steve here, and today we are in American Truck Simulator and we're going to take some office supplies to Pendleton at Walbert. This will be my first American Truck Simulator video I've uploaded to the channel, and as you can see I'm going to tackle a tandem trailer today, which could be very interesting. Trying to get out of here, that is extremely tight. However, I'm pretty confident I won't be crashing the truck or the trailer. Plenty of experience offline in the game without recording driving a tandem trailer, so I think I should be okay. We'll see how we get on. So I've got my International Lonestar. I've got a 500 horsepower Allison engine, 18-speed gearbox. After all, it is an American truck, so it wouldn't be right not to have an 18-speed gearbox. Sunset yellow in colour, and yes, air horns. Hopefully I will not need to use the air horns if the AI behave themselves. Oh dear. Never mind. I'll get rid of that. Yeah, that is always a problem. When that happens with the AI, where they just stop in the middle of the road, and yeah, well, to be fair, it was over the line, but sometimes the AI in this game are a bit strange. Luckily I was over the line, so I can go. Whoa, what's that with the Z? Anyway, the mirror so I can see a bit better. No problem stopping this time. It's hard to believe that American Truck Simulator has been out now for a few years, and I for one much prefer this than to Europe Truck Simulator. I think it's because the graphics and the game is generally a lot more realistic in terms of the cities and things like that. Obviously, you know, you've got your Scandinavian DLC and your obviously newer DLCs in Euro Truck Simulator that do look a lot realistic and lifelike to many cities around Europe. When you come to the likes of the UK, that's an original part of the vanilla game for Euro Truck Simulator 2. It just looks so outdated, and it just looks so odd to view. It feels so strange. You cross the border into France and it feels so much more realistic there than it would be in Dover. It's proper weird, and I for one, I would like to see SCS updating the UK part of the map. After all, it has been 7, 8 years since they released Euro Truck Simulator 2. And it's been like that since the game started. I just don't understand why they haven't updated it yet. I know they've obviously got other ideas, and obviously they're currently building Iberia, Spain and Portugal DLC, but come on, let's have a bit of love to the UK. We want it a bit more realistic. And I'd like to see them introduce Ireland into the game as well, officially. That would be nice. Maybe Iceland and places like that. A bit more remote. Obviously I know they've been introducing pro mods. Obviously a lot of people have been playing that and going to other parts of Europe that aren't covered, but I think it's about time that they did introduce it into the game officially. It would be nice to actually drive around Ireland without having to use pro mods. Not used pro mods for quite some time, but I think I will be investing in downloading that and having a go. Playing in parts of Ireland and Iceland would be nice to see. lane ending. I'm going to move over. Oh yeah, I forget this section of road, still 30. Slow down. Terrible. Bad driver. Just about slot in, yeah, there we go. Of course, there is only one problem with these slower trucks. It takes a while to build up speed, and unfortunately it's not very nice when you're trying to pick up pace on the motorway. It takes ages to speed up. Well, set cruise control. Speed a little bit, traffic in front's building up. Make sure we don't want to go into the back of them and incur a crash penalty. Not be a good idea. Yeah, traffic should start accelerated away now, so we'll get up to 80 miles an hour. I don't know how many of you guys would have used this particular International Lonestar truck that's obviously been introduced into the game fairly recently now. Obviously this is a very nice truck. I love the dashboard and obviously the screen in the middle of the dashboard, and I love obviously how realistic that these American trucks are, and how much over the years that SES have come along in terms of developing the trucks, and also the map content as well. Obviously some of this is absolutely astonishing in terms of map creation. You just think back into the original days when we had the original Euro Truck Simulator and how much it's improved since then, and obviously how much more staff are obviously working for SCS, and obviously how much more content that they're now pushing out in comparison to when they initially brought out Euro Truck Simulator 2. Obviously it's a much more improved game in comparison to the original. Which I had my wits about me then. I might have gone up in his rear end, and that wouldn't have been very good. Crashed into the back of him, that not been very good. I've got to slow down here, there's a bit of a slow down in traffic ahead. Looks like lane's going to be ending. We have to hit the brakes very hard. We might have to hit the brakes again. Ooh. I really do not understand why the AI do what they do in this game. It's absolutely crazy at times. Might be at times there's some people on multiplayer. One thing I do not understand in this game is why, if an AI crashes into you, why you get penalised. I never understand that at all. It's the same in Euro Truck. I never understand why you get penalised. You know, it's not right, but that's what the game mechanics are, and unfortunately there's not anybody can do about that. There is only one annoying thing about driving on these narrow country roads like this, in the middle of nowhere. When you are stuck behind another truck, it is sometimes very annoying, particularly when you want to make pace, particularly with this job which needs to be completed urgently. See how we get on, and hopefully we're not late. we have got 33 hours to complete the job in game time, so should be okay. And we are 842 miles away from the destination, just short of 16 hours now. So we should be okay. I think we'll be fine, but we'll see how we get on. So I'm coming to a built-up area now. Looks like we're in a sleepy town somewhere in the middle of Nevada. Oh, I remember this turn ahead. This is a very tight turn. Even more so with a tandem trailer. Probably have to take a wide angle here and just hope there's nothing at the junction when we turn right. Wow. I thought I was touching the curb then, but I don't think I was. Luckily there's nothing here, so I can take a nice wide turn to the junction. Come back round, just check sides. Yeah, we're all good, so continue going. Now we'll continue with our journey. The beans too quickly. We're not out of the 30 zone yet. I'm speeding, but oh well. Here we are. Now hit the beans again. The wrong control. I forgot which one I had set for cruise control. One thing I do love about American Truck Simulator is the fact that you can go around corners a lot quicker in comparison to Euro Truck Simulator. Absolutely crazy how quick you can go around some bends. And it's just like, that should not be possible, but obviously it's because of all the weight ratio and the engines being a lot heavier in American Truck in comparison to Euro Truck, and obviously with the trucks obviously being a lot heavier as well. So certainly different when you're driving in this in comparison to Euro Truck. And every now and again, if I do play Euro Truck, I will admit that sometimes I do forget on the fact that I can't drive as quick going around bends in Euro Truck. So every now and again there are unfortunate incidents where I can't flip the truck over. I will openly admit to that, and unfortunately it's a bit of a laugh. And you know, at the end of the day, I'm not a real truck driver. I'm only driving for simulator purposes and just for a bit of fun, you know. And at the end of the day, it's not the end of the world if I do flip the truck over. Granted, it'll cost a bit to get it recovered and fix the damage, but you know, after all, it is just for entertainment purposes. And at the end of the day, I won't be the only person that's ever flipped a truck in the game before. I won't be the last, and it's just what it is. Going into another built-up area now. There's some tumbleweed going across the road. I absolutely love how they just implemented tumbleweed into the game. Absolutely love that. Oh dear, I better slow down a bit further. I'm getting a red marker. It's better. Oh, aye, pesky cop car parked there. Good job I slowed down then. I am sort of hogging the white line right there. Yellow line right now. rocking the boat slightly. Right, should be able to hit the beans again now. See how we get on again. Another thing I do like about this particular area of the map is I just love how realistic the desert looks, and all the little bushes and shrubs that are obviously on the ground, and the trees that do appear. I love it how realistic this is, and obviously it's such a good game. Obviously, if anyone that does like any sort of simulator games, probably like this if you haven't bought it before, or if you've been looking to buy it for a while and just haven't bought it. Obviously it is a bit expensive to just buy the game when it's full price. Obviously it has come down in price. Obviously it's better to probably buy it on a sale if you were just looking to buy the original game, get a feeler for it, and then buy any DLC that's come out. I'd highly recommend getting it on sale, because it's a lot. Obviously some people, you know, just don't have big budgets for games and rather wait for games to go on sale. I personally did buy this game when it first came out, and I did buy full price for it. But obviously that's not everyone, and not everyone can afford that. And obviously, yeah, it's just unfortunately what it is at the moment. Obviously, with this unfortunate lockdown situation in place throughout a lot of countries in the world, obviously you might be looking at more games now and thinking, well, I've got more time on my hands, and you might be into this sort of thing. And if you are, I definitely highly recommend it. It's not just for obviously the graphics and the fact that it looks so realistic, but also obviously the truck brands that are in the game as well, but also just the fact of it's something relaxing to do. It doesn't take a lot of effort. All you need is a controller. You can manage with a keyboard and mouse. I personally don't recommend just using a keyboard for driving a truck. It's better to have a steering wheel of some sort, or a controller that you can use. Steering wheel obviously makes the game feel a lot more realistic, because obviously you'll have 3 and 4 speed back in most steering wheels, but obviously, you know, you've got to use what you've got. And yeah, at the end of the day, if you do have a steering wheel, then great. If you don't, and you just have a keyboard, then obviously it's not going to feel as realistic, but it is still a playable experience. Granted, it is harder to play with keyboard. I have played with keyboard before now to see what the major differences are, but it doesn't feel as realistic, and to be honest, it is a bit of a nightmare to steer and go around corners. So I personally don't recommend it, but if you do have like a controller or a steering wheel, then yeah, it's obviously a lot better to use. Steering wheels obviously is preferred. So we've got a bit of a queue of traffic here. What is going on? Ah, there is a lane closure. Okay. Didn't spot that before. Let's need to get on with this lane, and we shall proceed forward. I just hope the AI behaves itself on the right. Okay, so we can't go up there at all due to the fact there has been an incident, so we'll have to go up here instead. Check we're okay. That's another thing about the game. I do love the fact that they do add incidents of different sorts in, where they close lanes, or they close a section of motorway because there's been an accident or a fire or something like that. I love that they do have the odd diversion in the game when you're trying to do a trip. Could take it a few miles out of your way, and I do love that, because that is obviously something that would happen in real life. And obviously that is something that they have added into this game a little while ago now. It wasn't in the game when it initially came out, but it is something that does certainly add a realism effect to the game. And as you know, if you do play the game, then you know obviously that yeah, it does. But anybody obviously who hasn't played the game before, who might be looking at purchasing it, well, that is another factor to take into consideration. And yeah, there's just no better trucking games, Euro Truck or American Truck, that are on the market. Obviously there is that Alaskan Truck Simulator that has been obviously advertised fairly recently, and to be honest, if anybody's watched Ice Road Truckers, that will probably be how it's going to feel like. And I for one probably will be buying that game when it does come out. I'll leave a note in the description to see when it does come out, because I will have to double check when that is. I think it is out soon, some point this year. I'm not sure if they have released the confirmed release date yet, but I for one will be looking at covering that on this channel when it does come out. And I think, to be quite honest, it will be something that is probably going to be quite dramatically different to Euro Truck and American Truck. Obviously Alaska is part of the United States, you know, that isn't out of the question, but I think it is going to be feeling a lot more different, and it's probably going to feel like that it's going to be feels like a different game, most essentially. You're probably going to be driving obviously on a lot of ice and snow and things like that, so it'd certainly be interesting whether it would be just a game where you're driving like this and Euro Truck Simulator, or whether it would be something that you can just drive, and whether you've got to, if you tip your truck over or if you get stuck in snow, whether you've got to find a way to dig it out and things like that, or whether that's going to be incorporated into the game. I for one would like to see that happen. Obviously it might not be something they implement, it's just have to be something that they would look at. And whilst I haven't had a look at the trailers or anything for the game yet, it would be certainly something that I would like to see in it. And to be quite honest, I would love to have a go at that game. I really would. I really think it would be something that would certainly add a bit of an interesting addition to the simulated trucking games. Whilst it's not being made by SCS, and it does seem to be something that Discovery have got going for them as a game for Discovery, and it will add obviously a different scenery and a completely different environment to the game. And I for one will be, as I say, playing it when it does come out. And slow down here, there are roadworks ahead. Okay, we are okay because we've got green lights. We'll just proceed through a bit of caution. Make sure we don't hit anything. Okay, so now okay, we can now hit the beans once again. I must admit though, with that roadworks that we've just passed, that is the first time that I've seen a set of traffic lights in the game that are over the road rather than just at the side. So I'm quite impressed with that. That must be something that they've added in maybe recently. I've not seen that before. I've not read that they've added that in the game or anything, so I'm quite impressed with that. That's certainly adds a bit of extra realism to the game. Right, let's hit the beans a bit harder. We've got 70-mile-an-hour speed limit now. I just love how you can fly around corners, it's crazy. You could not do this in Euro Truck Simulator at all. Absolutely crazy that you can do this in American Truck. Just no question about it at all. Perhaps should probably slow down for this next one because there's a blind bend going uphill. And we're going to start losing some speed now, so we'll just hit the accelerator ever so slightly. make sure we don't have any problems with deceleration. Okay, so let's just have a recap on where we are with the journey. So we've got 28 hours to go, so we've got plenty of time to get to Pendleton. And we're currently at Friday 10:23 in the morning, and we're due to arrive early afternoon on Saturday. We're currently 620 miles from our ETA, so I'm just short of 12 hours. So we've got plenty of time to get there. We'll probably have to have a rest stop at some point because we are several hours into the game time on the trip now, so we will need to have a rest stop at some point. So at this moment in time, we are in the middle of nowhere, so finding a rest stop is going to be a bit tricky, but I'm confident that we should get out of the desert into possibly parts of California, depending on the route this is taking us. I haven't surveyed the route exactly, so but as soon as we get into somewhere that's a bit more built up and less remote, we should hopefully have somewhere to sleep and rest and continue with the trip. Oh, right, okay, let's hit the brakes here. Hopefully we can slow down in time. Yeah, so I'm not going to do brakes very good, but there we go. Okay. At least we did manage to stop in time. Okay, so we do have a rest stop ahead, but I think we can progress further than this. I don't think we'll need to rest just yet. I think we shall be okay for now. Probably the next rest stop will probably be the one that we do need to use. I just love why it's asking us to go through the petrol station to take a turn rather than just using the road. I suppose that is a good route if you were looking to stop for fuel, but other than that I fail to see why you'd want to do that. Probably is quicker, but it wouldn't be something that a trucker would actually do in real life unless you were looking to obviously stop for fuel, because the one, it's probably dangerous, and yeah, it's not really well thought out, that. I must admit. I know the game does ask you to go the quickest route, but quite simply you're probably only saving a few seconds of real life time to do that, so you don't really have any benefit. We are starting to come into a bit of wilderness now that is a bit more green. We're seeing a lot more trees and a lot more shrubs about now that are not as faded in terms of colour green. It's obviously a lot darker green, so we are starting to come into a bit more of an area now that is obviously not as remote, and obviously it is still remote, but obviously it's not as sparse in terms of obviously what's lying on the ground. It's not as much desert, it's a bit more sort of like, how can I put it? It is desert, but it's sort of like, well, you know, you've obviously got the telegraph lines on the left there, so obviously it's not as obviously sparse in terms of, there's obviously a bit more of a built up area heading forwards. Okay, I think we've got some roadworks ahead. It's on red, so let's tell it to slow down. I fail to see why it's on red though, after all. There is nothing at the other side. You know what'll happen now? It'll change to green as soon as I stop. Or not, as the case may be. Looks like they're putting some new cabling in of some sort at this roadworks. And why is this not changed to green yet? There's nothing up there. Ah, thank you. I fail to see why it took so long to change to green. I suppose that is adding to the realism of the game though. After all, everybody hates roadworks. They are a nuisance. Obviously they have to be done, and whilst they are ongoing, when there's nothing at the other side, it is really annoying. Let's build up all this speed again now. Doesn't take long. Oh look, a fellow trucker with a Volvo coming past. Lovely trucks. Don't know if anyone's driven the Volvo in the game. I do like it, although I'm quite torn between this and the Volvo. Obviously both recent additions. This obviously International Lonestar is a lot more recent than the Volvo is. I'm quite torn between both trucks. I don't really have a favourite. I do like all the trucks in this game. I do like all the trucks in Euro Truck as well, and I do have a fleet of drivers that obviously do drive different manufactured trucks in the game, so I'm not one of these people that does tend to stick to one brand like Volvo or MAN or Mercedes-Benz, Scania, Iveco, Renault. I'm not one of these people that does stick to one particular truck brand. I will go out there and drive different trucks because I find that it gives you a better scope of the game, and obviously the different trucks handle differently and you all have different configurations, so depending on what you're towing, certain trucks are obviously better for that than others. Certain brands of trucks obviously are better as well, particularly the Volvo in Euro Truck Simulator when they have a higher horsepower engine, so obviously it's a lot easier to pull heavy loads with a bigger engine in terms of horsepower. Obviously you couldn't do it with a 450 horsepower, 500 horsepower and you're towing a helicopter or something behind you. It's just something that's just sort of like probably not really recommended. You probably could pull it, but I personally wouldn't do it. I'd rather have a higher horsepower engine like 700, something like that, to pull something like that. Obviously there are a lot more heavier things like train locomotives and things like that. You know, obviously are a lot heavier that obviously do require the power. But yeah, obviously there is all this DLC in the game as well, and there's lots of different add-ons and things like that, and obviously you can build your own trailers and customise your own trailers, and obviously use them for loads that you can pick up, and obviously there is all that side of the game as well, and it has come a long way, it really has, and I'm amazed that they're still building elements in Euro Truck Simulator 7-8 years after it's come out. Some people are saying, when's Euro Truck Simulator 3 going to come out? I personally don't think that will ever be a Euro Truck Simulator 3. Not unless they really wanted to rebuild the whole map again. Because quite simply, that's going to take years to do, and I for one don't see any benefit of them doing that. Obviously they have just released the game, this game, and also Euro Truck Simulator with DirectX 11, so there wouldn't be any benefit of them adding Euro Truck Simulator 3 at the moment. It's not something that I think they're going to do at all, not for a while at least, if they even ever do it, because I don't see there being any benefit of it at all. And quite simply I think that there is just no need for them to do that. And as I say, I've described earlier on this video what I would like them to see. Obviously I'm from the UK, I would rather them obviously look to rebuild the UK and add extra areas of the UK, you know, make it a bit more modern, more realistic, and add a few extra towns and cities in. Obviously add maybe Holyhead in North Wales and give a link to Ireland via a ferry. Obviously bring Ireland into the game officially as well. The white line there, move over slightly. Are we coming off here? I think we are. Oh yes we are, right, okay. Just check my mirror. Okay, yeah. And just to add insult to injury, it's now going to start raining. Fantastic. I do love the rain in this game as well. I absolutely do love the rain, just as a little side note there. Anyway, going back to obviously Euro Truck Simulator again. Yeah, I would like them to add extra towns and cities in the UK. I'd say Holyhead would be an ideal one due to the fact that obviously there is a ferry port there, and obviously ferries that do go to Ireland. I did pull out that junction a bit too wide, to be honest. I think I could have avoided that. I didn't really need to pull out that far. Yeah, but obviously it would give you a good link to Ireland, and essentially it would be nice to add Ireland into the game. I certainly would love to go and explore Ireland in a truck officially in the game. Obviously I know you can do it in pro mods, I will look at doing that, but I do think that SCS are missing a point there where they could be adding other cities in the UK and adding obviously links to Ireland and, you know, making the game ever a bit more expansive. Obviously, you know, obviously the UK is already included in the game, so really they shouldn't pay for anybody to have to update what's already in the game. Obviously Ireland could become a new DLC. They might even just release Ireland as an additional part of the game with no charge. Who knows? Obviously I personally don't know how they are obviously going, which way the company are obviously taking the game, and I for one would love to see that, and I dare say a lot of other people would as well. I know obviously Pro Mods is there to fill a gap in terms of obviously what content is out there and to make places a bit more realistic, and also to add new areas into games. But for one, I would like to see SCS bring it into the game, and I really would enjoy exploring Ireland. I really would. Even Northern Ireland, because Northern Ireland's not included in the game either, which I find very disappointing. You know, they could even add a ferry port just outside Morecambe at Heysham to take you to potentially Northern Ireland, or even though you can't do it in real life from Holyhead, they could add it there. Who knows? It would be nice to explore other areas and add new content into the game, which they are doing, don't get me wrong. Spain and Portugal is on its way. I will be buying that DLC when it does come out, and I must admit I am quite surprised that they haven't added Iberia in a lot sooner, considering that that was in the original Euro Truck Simulator game. Obviously you could go to Madrid, Barcelona was on there, Lisbon, all three of those places were in the game, the original Euro Truck Simulator game, and I'm really surprised they just haven't added Iberia into ETS2 a lot earlier than this. Really am surprised they haven't done that. But it is on its way now, and I am looking forward to buying it when it does come out. Oh, I absolutely love that. That is brilliant. Yes. Yes, I have been past here a few times, and I absolutely love it every single time I go past. I think that's absolutely fantastic. Very nice addition into the game. That modelling of that must have been crazy for them to... Obviously, modelling obviously those roadwork post things, whatever they do. They do have a name. It escapes me right now. But, oh, okay. Well, that was a bit of a close one. I certainly wasn't expecting them to break like that. Surely they should have slowed down a lot earlier. But that is the AI for the game for you. Yeah, so I'm quite amused with things like that. I do like things like that that have been added into the game. And yeah, I do really love this game. Anyway, we shall start building some speed up again, and another recap on where we are. So we've got 23 hours to go, 3:05 in the afternoon on Friday. So we've got plenty of time to still get to our destination. That is not a problem at all. And we're currently on Highway 95. We are still quite a considerable period away from the endpoint, so we've still got 388 miles to go, so just short of 8 hours, 7 hours 39 minutes, so we've got plenty of time to get where we do need to go. And the truck is starting to slow down here, and the rain is getting a lot heavier as well. We shall increase the wiper speed. And as you can hear, it does sound like my driver is starting to potentially start falling asleep. Luckily we do have a rest stop ahead, so we are good there. Whilst I am there, I will arrange to fill up the fuel tank because we have got less than half a tank. I think we do have enough to get to our destination. We'll just have a look. So we've got 542 miles to empty. We have 376 miles to go, so we have got enough, but I would just like to fill up whilst we are at a petrol station. And back here, we're starting to go above the speed limit there. And I'm going to move a bit closer to the middle of the road again now. Seem to have diverted over to the edge slightly. Yes, we do know. I am starting to get tired. I know. We will pull over in a moment when the petrol station does come up. I think we are close to it now. We are indeed, and pretty much a bit of a built-up area as well, so we're starting to slow down. Okay, so the rest stop is after the petrol station. Okay, well we'll fill up first, and then we can always double back to the rest area afterwards. Looking at where the rest area is, it might be a bit trickier to fill up after resting. So we should rest up afterwards and fill up first. Okay, so we are now ready to go again. Set ourselves into drive. We believe here. Okay. We'll go left here and we'll pull into the rest stop for break. So just check both sides of windows just to make sure that we're okay. We can go. Whoa! Hello! I didn't see you there. Luckily, we're straight into a spot. A little bit further forward, making sure we are on the lines. I think we should be okay. And we will rest. Okay, so we no longer have to contend with any rain, so hopefully it will now stay dry for the rest of the trip. However, we do have nights to contend with. I must admit though in this game that there is only one thing I don't like, and it's the same with Euro Truck Simulator. How dark it is at night. So you're in a fairly lit up area, there's plenty of street lights about, yet It's only lit where the street lights are. In real life, the whole area would be completely lit. There would be no dark area of the car park at all. And that is one thing that I don't like. I would like for them to improve that in the game. Because it just isn't... just doesn't look realistic at all. It really does not. And yeah, it's definitely something that I would like them to touch on in future updates, because lighting would be nice. I know you can get mods that do improve it, but really it is something that should be part of the vanilla game essentially, and it would be nice for them to add that in. Okay, so we are going to proceed through California then, so we are heading for Oregon now, and unfortunately Oregon speed limits are slightly less than Nevada's, so we do have a slightly less speed limit to contend with at 65. So whilst it's not much slower, and it is obviously faster than the 55 limit that you are permitted to drive in California, it does obviously feel a lot slower in comparison to 70 and 80 mile an hour. 80 and obviously particularly. So we are heading through here, so we will put our foot down just to ensure that we don't decelerate too much, and we will be wary of livestock. Yeah, so you can just see, can't you, that the light in front of you is not very bright at all. Obviously I know you can do this and make it obviously brighter and add your high beam on, which obviously does make you see a lot further, but again when you look at that and you can barely see anything, you can just barely just see in front of you. Obviously that does add a lot more light, and obviously that would be obviously the preferred method of driving at night in this game, because you just can't see in front of you. Obviously if you're in a built up area it's a bit different, and obviously you don't really need to use your high beam, but that is just really poor. I really think they should improve that lighting. Obviously if it was a bit bright and you could see a bit further in front of you, then obviously that would be nice. Obviously the fact that you've got high beam, which obviously makes you can see a lot further, which would be something that you don't really need to improve. I do like high beam in this game, but low beam is pretty poor. It could be a bit better, to be quite honest. Anyway, we'll continue to use high beam whilst we're in the country, because it is night time now, and obviously I don't want to be wanted to make sure that I do plan ahead for any bends and anything. I will be a responsible driver and not keep the high beam on if anything is coming the other way. Obviously I'm just nice like that. I know it's only a game, but realism after all. And that is what you should do if somebody is coming the other way. Okay, so we do have a way station ahead. I will turn off high beam in case we do need to enter there. We might not need to, we might be okay. Okay, so we do need to enter then. So it is coming up on our right. So we are going to have to dive it up there before we do continue our trip. It's nice and easy. So we are loaded, so we will need to take the right lane. There's one thing that I do like about this game, that you do have to go to visit regular way stations, but it would be nice to so slightly often in the game where when you hit enter that you do get fined. That would be nice if the weight was wrong in your truck for whatever reason, or in the trailer. It would be nice to actually get fined, just to add a bit of extra realism, because quite frankly in a minute, once you've obviously gone through that way station, you've got green, it doesn't, that's it, there's nothing else to add into the actual game because there's no fines or anything, so it doesn't give you any fines, which I think would be a bit more realistic again. And well, I don't know how much you do get fined in the States for having a weight ratio that's incorrect, or your weight's wrong, or something like that, or you're too heavy, and things like that. If that is a thing, if anybody knows, put a comment in. I would be interested to know whether they do issue fines for incorrect weight ratios and things like that. It would be nice to see. And if that is something that does happen, then yeah, certainly put something in the comments to say if that is something that does happen. We don't have that sort of thing in the UK. Obviously we do have places that do obviously do checks and things on motorways, as anybody who lives in the United States are generally called interstates or interstate highways. We call them motorways here. But yeah, they generally are based around those sorts of areas, so we do have points of checks, but it's not something that is in Euro Truck Simulator, and it's not something they have added in, but obviously it's been in this since the game first was released, and I think it's nice that you can obviously get your truck checked. Okay, so we are on a 60 road here. I thought it was 65, but it's not, it's 60. Just have a quick update on where we are. So we've got 10 hours 55 minutes to go. We've had our rest stop, so we will be able to complete our trip now without resting again, providing that we don't get any significant diversions further along our route. Hopefully not, hopefully we shall be fine. So we are early Saturday morning now. We do have another 260 miles to cover. It's just over 5 hours. And we are now in the mountain time zone. So we have moved an hour behind the previous time zone. I think that is correct. I think we're an hour behind now to what we were in Nevada. Anybody know? I'm not sure how time zones work in the States. I know obviously New York is obviously further in front than Los Angeles would be, but I'm not quite sure how specific time zones are in the sort of middle of the States, how they work and what time zones they cover, and if this is a different time zone in comparison to what Nevada is. I don't know, I'm not from the States, it's not something I've observed, but yeah, it's certainly nice that they have added the time zone sections in the game. Because I don't think it was in it when it first come out. I'm trying to remember now if it was. I don't think it was. So it is a nice little feature that they have added the PDT and NDT. So obviously we've gone into Pacific time zone now. So we have changed time zones literally a few moments ago. So it's certainly nice to see that there is elements in the game that do obviously add time restrictions, and obviously it's nice that they have added the time zones in the game, because quite frankly the United States is obviously a big country, it's got several time zones, and it's certainly a nice feature to have. I for one do like that they've added that in at some point. Anyway, we are sort of climbing ever higher now, and we have done a lot of climbing since we entered Oregon. Obviously Oregon is a bit more of a unusual state, I will admit that, in terms of its geology and things like that. Don't get me wrong, it's a nice state. It's certainly different from Nevada in terms of the fact that it's a lot more hilly in terms of obviously geology and things like that. Obviously, you know, it's a lot more sort of like farmland, as you can see on the right there with the hay bales. It's a lot more country sort of like than desert, which I do like, and I love how the states do flow into one another. It's lovely how different states obviously are sort of like different in terms of obviously the ground, and obviously what you have desert obviously in Nevada, and obviously Arizona, New Mexico, obviously parts southern Oregon are also obviously parts of desert, but obviously as you get further north it turns into more sort of like forest sort of type woodland, and I love how it flows into that. It's absolutely lovely. And obviously with SCS creating this game, obviously they could do, they've obviously been out to each individual state and had a look around, taken photos and just seen how it obviously is in real life, where obviously the likes of your pro mods and things like that, obviously they do add a lot of cities and obviously extensions to maps, but there isn't always the detail that SCS have put in the games, because obviously people haven't got the time like SCS have in terms of developing obviously content and maps and things like that. So obviously you don't expect the realism in pro mods and things like that to always be obviously as good. Obviously don't get me wrong, pro mods is good, I have read good things about it, I have used it previously, and some of the content they do produce is nice, but it's not always on a par, or some people who have developed maps as well, it's not always on a par with what SCS produce. And obviously there has been ones that take you up into Washington State and places like that before SCS released Washington, and it was just a complete utter, it was like a desert. They just had a highway and there was nothing there, the odd tree, and it was just like, it was like a wasteland. Don't get me wrong, it was nice to actually drive to somewhere further up in the States, but it just didn't feel realistic, and it just felt a bit of a something to do more than anything. There wasn't sort of like anything I could comment on, or think, well, this is a bit but now that they've added obviously Washington, and the fact that you can go further north and see, obviously look at Seattle and places like that, it's lovely that SCS are obviously adding new content fairly regularly to the game. Obviously it's going to take them a while to comprise of all 52 states in this. It is a shame that they seem to be focusing on the states on the east coast and eastern side first. It would be nice if they did focus on a few western states as well, but it seems to me that they are focusing on linking all the states together. So at the moment you can't sort of transport to, like, say Texas or Florida or anywhere like that. You can't sort of like teleport to them. It's sort of like, because they haven't been obviously introduced into the game yet. But it would be nice if they did look at some western states, in my opinion, and like Florida or New York, New Jersey, places like that, Massachusetts, all down the western seaboard. And it would be nice to see if you could teleport in real life. Obviously it would be a situation where you couldn't obviously transport anything right across the United States. That wouldn't be something you could do, obviously because of the fact that you couldn't travel because they haven't created the content for any other states. But it would be nice if they did introduce a couple of states where you could do trips between them both on that side. So it would be something that would be nice, and it would give a bit of a change to the game, and obviously it would be something that they may look at in the future. I don't know whether that is something that they are looking to do, but essentially it would be nice if they could do that. And at the moment they do seem to be focusing on the eastern side first and then moving west as the game obviously gradually obviously matures, and obviously they build more states and obviously add more content into the game. So obviously that might be something that they're just doing. They just decided just to start on the east coast and then move inland and then continue west, essentially, until they reach the east coast. But it would also be nice if they did think about adding maybe Canada as well. That would be nice. Obviously whether that's something they would do, it's certainly possible, because obviously it is part of North America. Obviously that would then defeat the object of an American Truck Simulator, but Canada is part of North America as the continent, so there wouldn't be any reason why they couldn't add it. Obviously it just depends on whether they are interested in doing that, and whether they would like to do that. Essentially, maybe that is something that they are looking to do, and perhaps they won't do it until all the United States is covered, but it would be something that would be nice for them to do, essentially because it is part of North America, and obviously Canada does have a lot of close relationships with the United States in terms of obviously road networks, and obviously the fact that it is well connected with the obviously the United States and Canada are well connected with each other, so it would be nice that if they could do that, and yeah, obviously having inter-country travel as such, like you do in Euro Truck Simulator. Obviously in Euro Truck Simulator, with it being mostly in the EU, there's obviously no checks that are done obviously within the countries that are in the EU, but they have added implementation for checks in other parts of Europe that aren't part of the EU, where you have to do like border checks in the game. So essentially they have obviously explored that in Euro Truck, so there wouldn't be any reason why they'd have that problem developing that for this game if they were looking at going to Canada, which I think would be nice, because then it might mean that you do get a bit more sort of like a bit more obviously content in the game, and also you'd get to see different sort of like graphics, sort of like as the maple tree and things like that, which obviously might not interest some people, but I personally think it would be nice to add that into the game. Anyway, we are speeding here, so I'm going to slow down. Going off on a lot here. I'm not concentrating on the driving as much as I should be with all the talking, but I am still keeping up the road, so can't be doing that bad of a job. But yeah, it would be nice to explore Canada. That would be something that would be nice to potentially look at eventually. But I think at the minute, I think they've set their heart on developing all of the United States, so I don't think that is going to happen at the moment, at least. But who knows? It could be something they venture at eventually. Who knows? It might be something they would look at in the future, and I would love for them to do that, even if it was specific states that they did, like they have done in the United States, that they did like British Columbia or the Yukon, and you could potentially look at maybe gold, transporting gold or something like that away from places. That would be certainly something to look at, and I would quite enjoy that as well. Yeah, or other things like, you know, there's certainly a lot that they can do with this game. And do you know what? I love this. I love how many people have stood around minding the day in the game and just doing about different things, you know, sat at a cafe or at church or something like that. I absolutely love this, and I love where they've gone with the fact that these built up areas, and there's people walking around, there's people doing things, and it's really nice. I really do enjoy coming into the towns in this game, even if there aren't drop-off points. I really do enjoy going into these towns. There really are some nice little towns in the start of the game, and I really do enjoy how realistic this game is. So look at that there, look at that little truck stop. It is a truck stop, I suspect, but nice little petrol station that we've got there. I wouldn't mind pulling this truck and trailer in there though. It'd be a bit of a nightmare getting back out, but you know, it's little things, little elements in the game that make it really enjoyable to play. So I did see a sign from Pendleton then, so I don't think we're too far away now. I think we are getting there. So we do have 7 hours 25 minutes to go in the time remaining. So we are 102 miles from our destination, 2 hours 6 minutes. So we should be getting there mid-morning, just before 10 o'clock at this moment in time. So I think we've got plenty of time to finish our journey, and we have no worry about rushing it or having to speed to get to our finishing goal before the time is up. None of those problems, nothing to worry about. We can just take our time and have a leisurely trip for the rest of the journey, really. We have no problems with the time at all, no problems with that whatsoever. We're not going to be late, and we haven't damaged the truck either, and we haven't damaged the trailer as far as I'm aware. Okay, but we have got 2% damage to the trailer. Not sure when that happened, to be quite honest, but the load is fine, so we are okay. So I'm not going to lose any money there. We shall put our foot to the floor because it looks like it's going to be a bit of a hilly section coming up. Wow, look at that view. That's beautiful. It's also little elements like that in the game where it's obviously feasible, obviously when you're a bit higher up, where you can obviously see views and things like that, and it just makes the game so much more of a pleasure to own, really. And you know, it's absolutely beautiful. Some of the graphics in this are amazing. I'm using this on a 1440p monitor, and it looks really nice. It really does, and I'm loving how far the SCS have come. Obviously, back in the early days when they made the likes of Bus Driver, and the graphics in that were a bit, well, how can you put it? They were a bit sort of like cartoonish, but they were all right. I quite like Bus Driver. I really did enjoy that when I was younger. I had a few hours in that, and I must admit though that I did like crashing the bus just to get the passengers' reaction. I did like doing that. Obviously not on purpose. I didn't do it and just go out my way and just crash the bus for, you know, just for intensive purposes and fun purposes like that, or intentionally, shall I say. But it was certainly interesting when you accidentally crashed into another vehicle, or you misjudged a turn or something like that. And yeah, it was certainly odd, and I certainly enjoyed the fact that they used to sort of like make a loud racket when you did crash the bus. The only thing I didn't like about that though is just the fact that you couldn't do a route in reverse. So you could literally go one way and that was it. You couldn't continue doing several trips, which I thought was a shame, but I guess that wasn't the aim of the game. I'm guessing the aim was just to build some sort of bus driving game where you could just drive a bus around, take it on a predefined route that you couldn't create yourself, and you know, just have a bit of a life of a bus driver, which, yeah, it was a goodish game when I was younger. Don't get me wrong, I wouldn't be looking to play it ever again personally, but you know, when I was younger I had different things, different games, and I liked those sort of games a bit more. Now I'm obviously a lot older, I do play these kind of games a lot more, and I do love that you can just relax with this game. It's not, or any truck game really, and there's nothing, it's not pressurised, you're not being put on pressure like some sort of shoot 'em up game or anything like that. You're not in obviously a pressure sort of like scenario. Obviously I know in shoot 'em up games you can obviously restart them and things like that, so you haven't obviously got that, but you know, this is a good game to relax at if you've been work all day and you come home and you want to have a chill, and this is a lovely game to do it because you can sort of mostly do the game at your own pace. You can obviously drive as quickly as you want or as slow as you want, obviously within reason. Obviously you've got time limits to deliver loads, don't get me wrong, and obviously if you are late then you do get obviously penalised financially slightly because of it, but there's no real need to sort of like go 100 miles an hour. You know, there's just not, obviously you can't do that unless you were going downhill, but you know, if you get my drift, you know what I mean. You don't have to rush, you can take your time, you take as long as you want, you know, you don't have that issue. You can save it anywhere you like, and you can continue and pick it up another day or a few hours later or things like that. You don't have to worry about finishing a job before you can save it because it saves automatically, things like that. So it's such a nice little game to sort of like sit back of an evening or a day when you're off work and just play and just do what you want, transport what you want, drive whatever truck you want, earn a bit of money in the game and just relax. And this is what I like about this game and Euro Truck Simulator. It's just the fact that you can just play anytime you want, transport whatever goods you want, you know, play it as much as you want, play it as little as you want, download any DLC that you want. You don't have to worry about not, you know, the fact that you don't have the issue of having to buy in-game currency and things like that. So it's such a nice game to sort of like sit back, develop your company, buy a truck, you know, and just drive essentially. It's such a lovely game to play for that purpose. I love it how the cows in the field actually are realistic. I know we went past some horses before, I forgot to mention them, but I love how the fact that the actual livestock in the fields actually move. You know, you can see them swaying the tails and moving the heads, things like that. I just love that sort of thing. It just adds an extra piece of realism to the game. I know I am repeating myself, but you know, I am finding it's extra elements in different parts of the game and different areas that do make the game more realistic. And I'm now into Pendleton, so we are getting close to the end of the journey now. And if you are still watching this video after all this time, I do thank you for that. I am going to change lanes because after all the traffic is going to move quicker in this lane. I probably will need to change back eventually, but at this moment in time I will stay in this lane. Okay, I do actually need to change lanes anyway, so that was a good move, that was a smart move. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Oops. I didn't realise that the back end of my tandem trailer was that far over. I do apologise to that coach driver. I'm so sorry about that. It was a bit of a bad move from me. Come on, let's get. Didn't get that enough in time, did I? Oh well, I'll have to wait again. The only problem with these turn left rights in this game, they don't last very long on green. So if you're not quick off the mark, you've got to wait again. Should get through next time though. I'll put it in drive ready. Go. Just scoot past them ever so slightly. Just hope I don't take the trailer out with him. Okay, so we're good to go. Okay, so it looks like we're having a drop off at Walbert, as we said at the start of the video. And we are roughly about 5 hours before the drop-off time, or what time we should be dropping it off at. Okay, so we will handle the job, and we will place it anywhere because it doesn't give us a drop-off point to do anything for some odd reason. I'm not sure why that is, so we'll just drop it off and get some XP anyway. Dropping it off here. I think it's because it's a tandem trailer. I think that's why. That's why it doesn't allow you to drop it off at the actual location it would normally ask you to drop off at. Okay, so we're here now. We'll put the into neutral, put the parking brake on, unload, lowering the legs, detach the cables and unload the trailer. Okay, so Okay, well, that is my video done for today, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I will be back again with more American Truck Simulator videos. I will be back with more Euro Truck Simulator videos as well. I am planning to cover Farming Simulator at some point. I probably will be starting that soon. Advantage of that is I haven't played Farming Simulator 2019 yet, so it will be a new save I'm going to operate from, and it will be the start of my Farming Simulator career, so it is something that I am interested in looking to do, and I am quite looking forward to having a go with that and working on a farm essentially. But for now, this is the end of the video. Thanks for watching. If you did like the video, please like and subscribe for future content, and have a good day.